And when you knock us down, we're going to get up. And on the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off.
Go ahead and say it, Ed.
Go Dragons!
When I woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous.
You like that? You like that?
F it. Jamar's down there somewhere.
In the New Orleans Saints select Marcus Davenport.
No!
Splash Brothers. Yep.
It's playoff. Get going, Brace.
The playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs.
If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
Welcome to Chasing the Trophy Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Sanders, here on the Dirty Boot Sports Network, and I'm coming at you solo tonight. Clay's running a little bit behind. He might be able to jump on with us midway. If he can, we definitely welcome him. If not, then we will just roll through this. I do have his start, sit, sleeper picks. Don't really have the elaboration on them, but we can go over his start, sit, sleepers along with mine, because this is the start, sit, sleeper picks for week 3. And first and foremost, going to go and jump right on into a word of prayer. Lord, just thank you for this wonderful game of football, Lord, and just thank you for blessing us and giving us the ability to do this, and just letting us enjoy it and fellowship in your name, Lord. And if it be your will, let it lead to furthering your kingdom and glorifying your name, and however we can, using it as a tool to grow closer to you and grow and help other people come to know you, Lord. And just please be with Norcay. She still continues to undergo her immunizations and just kind of go throughout life with this new way of life, Lord. Please be with Crew Tidwell as he's still undergoing treatments and healing, and be with him and his family as they're just trying to serve and be a testimony for you. And if it be your will, just lay your hand on him and heal him, Lord, like we know you can. And then also be with the Hurricane Francine victims and all the damages I know they're still undergoing down south. Just be with those people and just help comfort them and let them know that there is a reason, Lord, and just help them live for you and shine a light for you and keep faith in you for all that they've been through, Lord. And just continue to let us live and be a light for you, Lord, and just continue to show us how we can lead and go and serve for you, Lord. And just thank you for all that you've blessed us with. In your name we pray. Amen. All right, guys. So this is the Start Set Sleeper episode. And I'm going to go, this is probably about the last time I go over this, because I do it each Start Sit Sleeper week. But so Clay and I have start, sit, sleeper picks at each position. We pick starters and busts from players outside of the top 5 at quarterback, top 10 at running back, top 10 wide receiver, and top 5 at tight end. These are all players outside of the ones that you would primarily start that are considered like matchup proof or studs. Guys that you're not really considering sitting on a week-to-week basis based on ESPN's rankings. And then we also pick sleeper picks that are outside the top 12 at quarterback, top 24 at running back, top 24 at wide receiver, and top 12 at tight end. These are players that would typically not be started in a traditional 12-team league that we think are being slept on that week, and also that we will throw in a top 12 and a top streaming option at defense and kicker at the end. We kind of throw a couple defenses to stream and a couple kickers to stream at the end. And normally for me, those are the same ones I'm giving you at the waiver wire episode. So, all right. Well, for this pod, we want to thank our sponsors, Big Reed BBQ, Mimi's Children's Boutique, and Crown Detailing. And our title sponsor for this episode is Crown Detailing, where they offer mobile car detailing services, conveniently servicing your vehicle at your home or workplace. They provide various services for cars, boats, campers, RVs, serving the Ruston and surrounding areas. Reserve your spot today by contacting 318-474-0859 or find them on Facebook by searching Crown Detailing. All right, guys. So, hey, look, I mean, school's back. Maybe your ride's dirty. Maybe your kid's ride's dirty. Holler at Crown Detailing. They'll get you fixed up. Or, hey, maybe you're getting ready to put that boat up for the winter. If you don't do the winter fish thing or the ski boat, holler at them. Let them get it cleaned up. That way it looks real nice whenever you get ready to bring it out next time you want to use it. So we appreciate Crown supporting us. Y'all go out and support them because they do help make everything possible that we can do so by supporting us. So thanks, Crown Detailing, and y'all go give them a shout. All right, now news and injuries. So these are pretty much just a couple updates on some of the ones that I went over on the waiver pod. But CMC, unless you live under a rock, you know he is out and he's on IR. Okay, so miss at least next 4 games. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Dan Campbell said he would be good to go. I don't know if you can quite trust that, but it looks like he was a full practice today, so I guess that is going to be the case. So, given that he's a full practice, I would think that would be good news. Then Justin Jefferson was limited at practice on Wednesday and says that he will be back on in week 3. So he said he is ready to go. Sorry about that. Got my windows all mixed up here. Then AJ Brown, he's going to be out for sure. Hey, Garrett Wilson just caught a touchdown Thursday Night Football. Congratulations, all Garrett Wilson owners. I know y'all have been waiting all season for that. So there you go. But anyway, AJ Brown out with a hamstring injury, did not play. He's not going to be on IR, but he said he was going to miss a couple weeks on TV the other day. Nico Collins with a hip and a foot injury did not practice Wednesday, and then looks like he was limited today on Thursday, so that gives him a good shot at playing. That's Nico Collins. Isaiah Pacheco put on IR because he had ankle surgery for that outside bone on his ankle that he fractured during the game. Deebo Samuel with a calf injury. Kyle Shanahan stated he was going to miss a couple games. He didn't practice Wednesday, no surprise, and he will be out for at least a couple games. Joe Mixon injured his ankle, returned to the game, and then has pretty much not practiced since then. And it looks like he didn't practice Wednesday, he didn't practice Thursday. So if you're looking for a replacement for him on his team, Damian Pierce is still out with like a hamstring injury. So the next guy up is probably going to be Cam Akers or Dari Agumbawale. But I would put my money on Cam Akers. He actually looked pretty decent the last time when he came in for Joe Mixon during that game. DK Metcalf did not practice on Wednesday. Let's see if they've updated it. See, I do all this right before we record this, and I just like to double check. And looks like DK Metcalf was a full practice on Thursday, so he is good to go. Then we got Cooper Kupp, who Sean McVay stated will be out for an extended period. Wednesday said that he still could go on IR, but they have not decided. I would think if they're going to put him on IR, they're going to put him on IR before the game. So you should know if you're going to be without him for a longer time than 4 games. Longer time than 4 games by this weekend. Then we got Evan Ingram. He is out. He was ruled out of the game last week, considered week to week. Coach said they're optimistic about him playing this week, but there is no real new update. T. Higgins, hamstring injury. He was ruled out prior to the game before. Coach stated he was moved in a positive direction. And then I seen earlier that he did practice on a limited basis today on Thursday. So that's great news for Higgins owners, but I think it's going to take more than just a limited practice to get him back out there. Jaden Reed with a calf injury. It's kind of big because he was carrying a lot of teams at the wide receiver position. And he has that calf injury. He was upgraded to a limited practice on Thursday, so that's good news for him. Excuse me, guys. And then we got Keenan Allen, who ended up being inactive with that heel injury last week, didn't practice on Wednesday. And then looks like he did not practice again on Thursday. Does not look good for him. David Njoku out, did not practice on Wednesday. Coach stated Wednesday that he is unlikely to play on Sunday. So, I mean, he didn't rule him out, but pretty much ruled him out by them saying that. Jake Ferguson almost played in week 2, but didn't. He's got a limited practice in on Wednesday, and I would be willing to bet probably another limited one today. Yep, got another limited one on Thursday as well. So good news for Jake Ferguson, back-to-back limited practices. Then Jordan Love, okay, originally estimated for his knee injury 3 to 4 week absence, limited practice on Wednesday. big news there because Jordan Love was actually dropped in some leagues, and he is a very serviceable quarterback. Was limited on Wednesday and limited on Thursday at practice. So big news right there that he's practicing limited. That gives him a good shot to possibly come back this week. So that is Jordan Love. If he is out there, may go look to pick him up, slip him into the lineup if you need some quarterback help.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for a podcast where two guys with ADHD ambush each other with their favorite albums? Well, check out this clip.
So, if I was to say, how would you feel about Kiss if it was 1/4 of Kiss?
Oh, you're gonna do one of the albums where it was like they did. Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, they all did their own fucking album one time. Is this what you're doing to me?
Yes.
Tune in to Side 1, Side B with Dave and Steve wherever you get podcasts.
Then we got Raheem Mostert with his chest injury. He didn't practice on Monday, but he practiced limited on Wednesday. And then let's see if he did practice again today. Yep, practice limited again on Thursday. So that gives him a decent chance to slip into the lineup. And then let's see, Jordan Addison was out, did not practice on Wednesday. Let's see. And did not practice on Thursday. So not good news for Jordan Addison. And then last but not least, poor Tua Tagovailoa, which, we talked about before. They ended up placing him on IR, and then there's no word on his retirement. So big news right there. Don't be expecting Tua to come back, obviously, but they have not said if he's going to retire. Which honestly, with as severe as his head injuries have been, I mean, I don't ever wish for somebody to retire, but I would feel pretty terrible for him if he didn't retire and then something were to happen to him. So best wishes to him, but hopefully he does decide to make the right call as far as that goes. All right, we're going to jump right into our starts at quarterback. And I'm going to go to Clay's start at quarterback, and he has Brock Purdy. So obviously Clay feels pretty strongly about Brock Purdy starting. He's just a little bit outside. I could see where Clay's coming from on this. For one, it's a great matchup against the Rams. Okay, so I get where he's coming at that, and I looked at that and I was like, man, that's a good matchup, but one of the analysts said something about Purdy the other day, and that's why I have Purdy as my sit. So we're going to talk about this both at the same time. Brock Purdy it's a beat-up, injured Rams, but this is the first time Brock Purdy will make a start without either CMC or Deebo Samuel in the lineup. The first time he'll make a start without either one of those in the lineup. I mean, honestly, you start losing more and more weapons. I don't think they lean on Brock Purdy more. I really feel like with the loss of the weapons, if anything, they lean more on the run game with Jordan Mason. Now, they could, they're still going to pass it some, but I just don't think it's going to be more volume than what he's been getting. And the thing about it is the volume he's been getting ain't been like nothing special. I mean, 29 pass attempts in week 1 against the Jets for 10 points. Week 2, 36 at Minnesota for 17 points. But, I mean, nothing that you're just running up and to jump up and down with. That's what my thing is like. I mean, if you lose your two best playmakers on offense, does that help or hurt your quarterback regardless of who you're playing against? And I really think I think that hurts him more than anything. And that's why I've got Brock Purdy to sit. But Clay feels strongly. He's got him as a start. So we're split there. Call with it what you will. But, I mean, Brock Purdy has stepped up in big situations in the past. I just feel like there's better options out there that you could probably avoid starting Purdy, even if you have him on your team. All right, now for me, my start's going to be Kyler Murray going up against Detroit this week. I mean, he's coming in at the quarterback 3 on the season. Huge week last week. Huge week last week. Going 17 for 21 for 266 yards, 3 touchdowns, 5 carries for 59 yards for a total of 40.54 points in 6 point per touchdown league. So, I mean, if you could take away 6 points, so 34 points in 4 point per touchdown leagues. But anyway, huge week last week against the Rams, which is probably another reason why Clay likes Brock Purdy. But they are two totally polar opposite types of quarterback. For one, Murray moves around a lot and scrambles a fair amount. Also, I would dare to say has a lot bigger arm than Brock Purdy does. But anyway, love Kyler Murray against Detroit for one. Also, for he's quarterback 3 coming in. He's got that high rushing floor, but also they're like he's just starting to run and throw a lot more efficiently. But Detroit's run defense is very good. So I think it's going to make it very hard for Arizona to move the ball on the ground. I think they're going to lean more into Kyler Murray, and he's really getting a lot more comfortable with Marvin Harrison Jr. and Trey McBride. And I just think he's going to be able to pick on that secondary of Detroit and be able to put up more points, especially through the air. But not only that, if he's got the ball in his hands more, even pulling it down to throw it, he's going to be more likely to rush, which in turn will put up more points. So I like Kyler Murray a lot this week. Going to my sit is Brock Purdy. And then Clay's sit at quarterback is C.J. Stroud. Whoa, that's a big one there. But Minnesota's defense has been sneaky good. So Minnesota gave up 4 points to Daniel Jones in week 4. Not a shocker there. But week 2 gave up 17 points to Brock Purdy and 319 yards. So, I mean, I kind of get it, but it's at Minnesota in the Dome, so don't have to worry about weather, nothing like that. But anyway, C.J. Stroud is Clay's sit. And then sleeper. My sleeper is going to be Kirk Cousins versus Kansas City at home. Honestly, the Atlanta offense just looked a lot better on Monday Night Football than week 1. I think they gained a lot of confidence in that come-from-behind win against Philadelphia. And we just saw Joe Burrow take advantage of the Kansas City secondary with, really a subpar wide receiver core. I know Chase was playing, but it was his first game back. And he's still not back. Like, he's still going through that preseason warm-up, training camp, all that, just kind of getting ramped up. And you can just tell that they're getting there, but they're not on the same page yet. And then so that's why he had a ton of passes to his tight end because he leaned on them really heavily. But still, even so, Joe Burrow had a great week against Kansas City, went 23 for 36 for 258, 2 touchdowns for about 21 points. So, and that was with a fumble, so take away 2. So that's really about 23 points if you can take away that turnover. But I think Kirk Cousins is able to take advantage of this Kansas City secondary easily with these full-fledged weapons with London and Pitts and sorry guys, and Mooney, Darnell Mooney. So and Bijan. I mean, just a plenty of weapons for Kirk Cousins to take advantage of them at home. They're going to be fired up. And Kansas City's defense, they got a decent little run defense, but I think they lean on Kirk Cousins once again. And I like that a lot. I like Kirk Cousins a lot. And then Clay's sleeper is going to be Gardner Minshew. Minshew Mania, the Minshew mustache. I like that pick there, Clay. I got to give it to the Raiders. They have looked a lot better than I anticipated for them coming in. But, man, he went way down there, guys. Okay, check this out. So let's see where he's ranked at. Let's see if that's right. Because if that is right, then it's almost crazy that he's ranked after Bryce Young, who's not even starting this week. Let's see. Oh, okay, that's better. Okay, he's ranked just after Trevor Lawrence down there, right around 14th QB or so. But solid matchup. I mean, good matchup for Gardner Minshew at home against Carolina. Brock Bowers looks like he's a focal point in that offense. Him and Devontae Adams. They are looking to get Zamir White involved more, so they could run a little bit more as they might be leading in this game. But I think Gardner Minshew gets plenty of work to be a serviceable quarterback if you're looking to stream one. If you had Jordan Love, he ends up sitting out. Or if you dropped him, you didn't get it back. So that's our quarterbacks, though. Let's go ahead and jump into our starts at at running back, sorry. And for a start at running back, Clay has Derrick Henry. Like that start a lot. Honestly, Derrick Henry has not been Derrick Henry, but he's starting to get there. This week at Dallas, we just seen New Orleans run all over Dallas. And, Derrick Henry's coming off that game against the Vegas for 18 for 84 and a touchdown, caught a pass for 12 yards. You love seeing him catch a pass. I hope they get him more involved in the pass game. But this week, going up against Dallas, who really couldn't stop anybody on the run, and Baltimore's offensive line hadn't been as good as it has in the past, but I think it's still probably just as good as the Saints is. And I like the chances for him to kind of get going at Dallas this weekend. So I like that a lot there, Clay. My pick is Tony Pollard to start. Honestly, it's against Green Bay, who their secondary has been pretty good, but Green Bay has given up 100 rushing yards in each of their first two games, and that was to Philadelphia and Indianapolis. Two better offensive lines, but we forget Tennessee did a lot of upgrading at their offensive line in the offseason. Tajay Spears is banged up, has a chance to miss the game. Hang on, I'll give you an update. I don't believe he even practiced today, so that could be – sorry, I'm going to pull it up here for you guys. There it is right there. And Tajay Spears did practice limited today, so that gives him a chance. But either way, he's banged up coming to the game. He could be a little bit limited. Good matchup for Pollard at home against Green Bay. So I like his chances a lot to have another really good game. And really, honestly, he's easily a top 10 running back because if Love plays, Tennessee could also, if Love doesn't play, Tennessee could be playing with the lead because I don't think Green Bay is going to put up a ton of points against Tennessee, even though their defense is that great, but they're going to have Malik Willis leading it. So if Love comes back and plays, then I think it could be a more competitive game. But if not, I think that Tony Pollard should have a solid week. And then we'll move on to our sits, and Clay's sit at running back is going to be Aaron Jones. Can't really blame him here because he kind of burned some folks last week. Really just, wasn't that productive. 9 rushes for 32 yards, 5 catches for 36. You like to see that. And it's a tough matchup against San Francisco last week, but this week ain't much better going up against Houston, who is the third best run defense so far. Against Indianapolis in week 1, they only gave up 10 points to the running back, 48 yards and a touchdown. In week 2, they only gave up 17 points to running backs, only 27 yards and a touchdown. So they're giving up some touchdowns on the goal line, but they're not giving up very many yards. So I understand that pick there, Clay. And then mine's going to be J.K. Dobbins. And I know you're like, man, J.K., he's been killing it. And he has been. But hear me out on this, okay? So J.K. Dobbins has been splitting the workload, even though he got 10 carries in week 1, 17 carries in week 2. He's still only getting 50% of the snaps. Okay. So now they're going to go up against a Pittsburgh defense that is, let's see, let me pull it up for y'all. That is 7th in the NFL against running backs. In week 1, they held Bijan to 89 yards and no touchdowns. And then in week 2, they held Denver running backs to 39 yards and no touchdowns. Okay. Now we can all agree they're not Denver's running backs, but they're not Bijan either. And they didn't let Bijan they have not given up a rushing touchdown yet to a running back, and they have not given up more than 89 yards. So, where I think J.K. Dobbins can still be okay, but with only half the workload in a game that's going to be run heavy on both sides with Pittsburgh and the Chargers. So that's going to shorten possessions for each team. So that's going to shorten opportunities for each running back. So, and also when you're running, the clock's constantly running if you're not passing the ball. So that's going to shorten the game even more. So really, I mean, if you're only getting 50% and going up against a tough defense, I just don't think he's going to get that kind of production that you're thinking he has gotten all week. I'm just saying, like, maybe he's a flex play this week versus an RB2. But honestly, if you got Dobbins at a really good value, you probably have three other solid running backs, or at least two, and you don't have to start them if you don't need to, unless you've had a CMC or an injury or something like that. But I'm just saying, caution with Dobbins this week. It's a tough matchup, and he's still only getting 50%. Now, if he was getting more than 50% of the snaps, he wouldn't be on this list. But because he's only getting 50% and he's not getting goal line work, and he has not gotten a handoff inside the red zone yet, that's another thing. Hasn't gotten a single handoff inside the red zone. So a lot of red flags there for J.K. Dobbins. Honestly, if you got him and you can, you might want to think about trying to trade him and getting capitalizing on his value before he might have a down week this week. So that's just my take on J.K. Dobbins. And we had Clay's Aaron Jones as a sit, and then sleeper. Clay has Devin Singletary at sleeper. Love that pick. Honestly, he's sneaking in there on a lot. Last week, a sneaky week where he had 14 fantasy points, 16 carries for 95 yards and a touchdown against the Redskins, and only one catch, which was very, very surprising. But still a really good day against Washington. This week, he's going to be at Cleveland, and you're thinking, man, he's going to be at Cleveland. I was like, that's not that great of a matchup. Well, last week, ETN and Jacksonville had 78 yards and a touchdown. And then the week before, Dallas had 70 yards and a touchdown. And you could probably say that Dallas's run game is not that great. And now I'm not saying Giants is either, but I'm just saying, like, that's not a terrible pick for Devin Singletary to be, probably a serviceable running back. And he always, and for the most part, he normally gets some solid catches in the pass game. So I like that pick a lot there, Clay. And then my sleeper at running back is going to be Zamir White. And you're probably like, Zamir White, man, he hadn't done that all year. And you're right. I mean, he really hadn't done that all year compared to what we thought he was going to do. But guess what? He's going up against the Panthers at home. And that fixes everybody going up against the Panthers. So, Carolina has given up at least 130 yards to running backs in each of their first two games, and they've given up at least one rushing touchdown in each game to a running back. So, and then not on top of that, they lost to Forrest Buckner, their best defensive lineman, and got put on IR. And then Pierce came out, Antonio Pierce, the coach for the Raiders, came out and said that they must focus on getting White more involved in the game plan to continue to be successful. So I love that. His coach is coming out saying, we know we're going to get him the ball more. And there's a solid chance that this is a positive game script for Las Vegas, that they're leading most of this game. So I think Zamir White gets a lot more work and probably looks a lot better because he's going up against Carolina than he has the last couple of weeks. So that's my sleeper at running back. And let's roll right on into wide receiver. And Clay's start at wide receiver is Devontae Smith. All right. Well, I'll be all right, Clay. Call you out on this one. That's the low-hanging fruit, all right, because we all know A.J. Brown's going to be out. And when A.J. Brown's out, Devontae Smith is money. So I'm all about it. And honestly, I'm shocked he made it. He is ranked outside the top 10 because every time that A.J. Brown is out, Devontae Smith is like a locked-in wide receiver one. And, it doesn't matter who – he's going up against New Orleans this week. It's a tough matchup if Lattimore's back. But if Lattimore's not back, it's even better. And I actually did look at that, and I thought about him, but I was thinking Lattimore, but he was out last week, so he might not be playing again. I'll have to pull that up. But I like that pick a lot there, Clay. Devontae Smith, definitely a start with A.J. Brown being out. Mine's going to be Chris Olave. All right, so – obviously everybody's been paying attention. He's had some rough starts so far. 3 points in week 1, only 12 points in week 2. Some big plays against Dallas. And then they even ran the ball with him. 6 targets, 4 catches for 81 yards. Not the Chris Olave numbers we want to see. But I think this is his get-right game against Philadelphia, who is the worst worst team in the NFL for wide receivers, gave up 60 points, 201 yards, and 2 touchdowns to Green Bay wide receivers in week 1. Gave up 48 points, gave up 184 yards and 2 touchdowns to Atlanta wide receivers on Monday Night Football. And I don't know if y'all been paying attention, but Clint Kubiak's got this offense rolling for the Saints. And with a busted secondary that Philadelphia has, he is going to take full-fledged advantage of it. And I think Chris Olave is going to get his this week. I think he's going to have a lot of positive regression on statistics because he's really underachieved so far this year. And I like Chris Olave a lot at home against Philadelphia. Plus, it's in the Dome. They're going to be fired up playing in front of that home crowd against Philadelphia, who's kind of a rival ever since we got shafted in the playoffs against Philadelphia a couple of years ago. So I like Olave a lot. Let's go right on in our sits at wide receiver. And Clay's sit is going to be Michael Pittman Jr. Clay, I'm not going to lie to you, more low-hanging fruit because, Lord, Michael Pittman Jr. has been terrible. Okay, terrible, not terrible, terrible. All right, so he's had 8 targets in week 1 for 4 catches for 31 yards, 7 targets in week 2 for 3 catches for 21 yards. 7 points and 5 points, guys, out of your wide receiver 1 for a ton of teams. And that's just, man, that's rough sledding right there. This week he's going up against Chicago, who's got a really pretty solid secondary. But honestly, excuse me. Honestly, I think this just has more to do with Anthony Richardson's quarterback. Not the most accurate passer. And then really, honestly, Michael Pittman, he's been throwing the ball to a lot, but he just doesn't have a lot of good chemistry or connection with because his other guys like Alec Pierce and well, it's really mainly just Alec Pierce. He's had a lot more of a connection with and has been a lot more efficient with getting in the ball and just to kind of seem to be on the same page. So I like that pick a lot there, Clay, honestly. I don't want to start Pittman until I see him do something important or big for the Colts or I see Anthony Richardson get a little bit more pinpoint with his passes. And then also on top of that, they just don't throw the ball a lot. Like they're only throwing the ball around 20-something times a game right now. So I like that sit a lot there, Clay. Then my sit's going to be Mike Evans. Mainly because he's getting the Patrick Surtain treatment, who has pretty much shut down every number 1 wide receiver for each team that they have went up against, and Mike Evans is their number 1. Now, Chris Godwin's been doing great, but he plays in the slot. Patrick Surtain's going to be on whoever's on the outside, and he is going to be on Mike Evans. And I think it's a solid chance that he shuts him down again. Not to mention Mike Evans might be showing his age a little bit this year. Week 1, he had a good 2-touchdown week, but he's only getting 6 targets each week. 6 targets last week, 3 for 42. But, excuse me, I think Surtain blankets on Mike Evans and tries to take him out of the equation. And I just don't think that's good news for Mike Evans. And if I can afford it, I would try to sit him. And then let's move on to our sleepers. And sleeper for Clay is going to be Deontay Johnson. And that is my sleeper also. Clay and I are on the same page with that for sure. And I know. All right, guys. I know you got Deontay Johnson. He's been pretty terrible this year. I mean, and honestly, but you know what? The saving grace has come. The Red Rocket, old Andy Dalton coming in, the Red Rifle, Red Rocket, whatever they call him. He is coming in to save us because we know that when he comes in, he is going to throw the ball and he is very efficient. All right. So each week, I mean, God, look at these numbers for Deontay Johnson. They're terrible. 6 targets for 2 catches for 19 yards in week 1, 6 targets for 3 catches for 15 yards in week 2. Just terrible. But we're getting rid of Bryce Young. Andy Dalton's coming in. They're going to probably be in a negative game script. They're probably going to be losing to Vegas most of the game. So they're going to be throwing the ball from behind, trying to catch up. I mean, I think Dalton makes a quick connection with Johnson, who's currently healthy. And honestly, ever since Johnson's been healthy in the league with a competent quarterback, he has been a solid fantasy producer. And I think this is kind of his last chance, but best case scenario for him to be productive on this team. And honestly, if he doesn't get right here against Las Vegas, then I really think that he might be somebody that might, just might be going to drop it. I hate to be like that with somebody with his talents, but he's also probably, now I will say he might be somebody you stash because he's probably going to be a hot trade target as we get farther along in the season if any playoff aspiring teams need wide receivers. So, but there is that. But yeah, both Clay and I love Deontay Johnson at Las Vegas this week with Andy Dalton at quarterback. I just think that's a huge upgrade for him, and I think he is going to produce pretty good for them. So that's going to round out our wide receivers, and we're going to roll right on into our tight ends. And Clay is going big, man. And, I've been beating this drum for 2 weeks, guys. 2 weeks I've been beating this drum. But Clay said that we need to start Colby Parkinson this week. And, man, there can't be any more opportunity than there is for Colby Parkinson right now. And he's got to be able to take advantage of it. Like, he's got a solid quarterback, a solid coach, the pass volume. I mean, there's opportunity out the wazoo. If he doesn't take care of it this week, it's a tough matchup against San Francisco. I get it. But if he doesn't take care of business this week and we see a good boost in Colby Parkinson, his pass volume, opportunities, targets, receptions, everything, then, I think he's welcome to Dumpsville because, it's just, it doesn't get any more like positive than this. In which, if it gets any more obvious, it seems like every time something is an obvious play in fantasy, it doesn't work out. I don't know why, but it just doesn't. But Colby Parkinson is an obvious start this week with his opportunity and his place in that offense and his chemistry with Stafford. I don't know if he's going to pull it through or not, Clay, but I like where your head's at, and I like his opportunity, so I get it. And then my start at tight end is going to be Kyle Pitts. And everybody's like, man, we've been down this road. And I get it. Like, we've been down this road, yes. But this week, he gets Kansas City, the worst team in the NFL against tight ends. Week 1, we know what they did with Baltimore. Isaiah Likely went off 125 yards, touchdown, 37.5 points in week 1. Week 2, Cincinnati. They gave up 151 yards to Cincinnati tight ends, okay? Now we have one of the most athletic tight ends with a competent quarterback and a good offensive coordinator playing at home against Kansas City. I mean, it's another match. And honestly, even as disappointing as Kyle Pitts has been, he's still tight end 7, guys. All right, still tight end 7 on the gear. Atlanta offense is seeming like they're coming alive after Monday Night Football. I think Pitts gets back on track against Kansas City. And I think that they're going to take advantage of this vulnerability of the Kansas City defense with he's just a superior athletic tight end. I mean, probably the most athletic tight end in the NFL. And I think they take full advantage of it there at home. Kansas City does for sure. So that's my start at tight end. And let's go to sits. Clay sit at tight end. Kyle Pitts. Man. All right, Clay. I don't know where you're going with it. It's a great – I get that he has not been that productive. He's let us down. But he's at home against Kansas City, who has been terrible against the tight end. Kirk Cousins, the Atlanta offense. I mean, I don't know the negative. So if you find one, you let me know because he's not even banged up or nothing. So Clay's going to have to come back when he gets back on the next pod, he's going to have to let us know where he's coming at with that because I have no idea. But Clay's sit is Kyle Pitts. My start is Kyle Pitts. So there you go. And you just heard all my positives. I don't have really a lot of negatives. The whole offense looked like they were struggling week 1, so you can't really blame that on him. And in week 2, he was pretty serviceable. I mean, I'm sorry, not week 2. Week 1, he was serviceable. Week 2, he had 4 targets, 3 catches for 20 yards, but I really think he gets it going. And then my sit at tight end is Dalton Schultz. And I get it, like, kind of low-hanging fruit there because he hasn't been that great this year. But it really just comes down to there's too many mouths to feed in Houston. Like, he's got 3 targets in each of the first 2 games. I had a person ask me last week, should I start Isaiah Likely or Dalton Schultz? And I was like, Isaiah Likely all day. And he wasn't even that good. but he still outproduced Dalton Schultz. And but Isaac likely has that ability to be tight end 1 on a week. And I feel like Dalton Schultz's ceiling is like tight end 7. Like it really ain't that much. And then so he's coming in and he's going up against this Minnesota defense who hasn't really been they gave up a lot of points in week 2 to George Kittle. But Dalton Schultz is no George Kittle. And in week 1, they had the Giants, so that's kind of an asterisk by that because their tight ends are pretty much irrelevant. But I just think there's too many mouths to feed for Houston. I think they lean into the passing game to the wide receivers even more. I know that Joe Mixon's likely to be out, but Cam Akers was very serviceable. So I like Dalton Schultz a lot. I don't like Dalton Schultz at all this week. So I'm saying sit him. And then Clay's sleeper at tight ends, Mike Gesicki. And I love this call because Mike Gesicki looked great this past week. Now, I will preface this with if T. Higgins starts, I think that hurts the tight end position for them a fair amount. Like, if T. Higgins starts, I don't think you see as much volume go to the tight end way. So, but if T. Higgins is out, I think Mike Gesicki's easy top 10 tight end this week in a pretty good matchup against Washington, which Washington has been good against the tight end. Well, actually, Washington's been great against the tight end, but they haven't really had that many great tight ends. They went up against Tampa Bay and Cade Otton, and then New York against Daniel Bellinger, who they don't use their tight end. So, I mean, you can't really say if Washington's been that good. But we've seen Joe Burrow go to Mike Gesicki and be very successful, so I like that. I like their chance if T. Higgins sits. If T. Higgins is out, I like that a lot there, Clay. And then my sleeper's got to be Zach Ertz, who has been a very sneaky tight end this year so far. He's been tight end 8 so far this year, which honestly it really doesn't say much because considering how terrible the tight end position has been. But he's gotten at least 4 targets in each game so far this year. And I really expect them to be trailing Cincinnati because their defense is so terrible. And I think that's going to give Zach Ertz more opportunity. And Zach Ertz looks to be one of Jaden Daniels' favorite safety valves. So, I mean, you're hoping for a touchdown, but honestly, I think there's a solid chance that you get another 4 for 60 like you had last week against the Giants out of him, and that's 10 points. And, I mean, that's really all you can hope for at tight end, as bad as the position has been this year. So, but that's going to round out our tight ends. And Clay and I have a couple defenses. And two of my defenses, one is the Chargers at Pittsburgh. They are owned just over 62% of leagues, which I know that doesn't quite fall into I normally try to do under 60% for a stream defense. But if they are available, I like the Chargers a lot. At Pittsburgh this week. Really, I just expect to be a heavy run script game. And I think it's going to be a short game as far as possessions. And not only that, but like, I don't know. I just think it's going to be low scoring. Neither team's like just putting up a ton of points. And I think you got a decent chance if Fields is scrambling to get some sacks and maybe he makes a mistake, throws an interception or two. So I like Chargers a lot, and then I also like Green Bay at Tennessee. Tennessee is giving up the most points to DST this year so far, with a total of 5 turnovers and 7 sacks in each of the first, with the first 2 games combined so far this year. And Green Bay already has 6 turnovers for their DST this year. So there's a solid chance there's going to be some turnovers in this game, and I think Green Bay, with their talented secondary that they have, has a decent chance to get some of those and maybe a chance to get one back for a touchdown. And then Clay's defense to stream is Tampa Bay's. Obviously, that has a lot to do with them going up against Bo Nix and Denver, who has pretty much given up 14 and 17 points each week to defenses. So, I mean, I think it's a great streaming defense there, Clay. If they're available, the only thing is they're owned at about 49% of leagues. So if Tampa Bay's out there, another solid defense to go out and stream. And then kicker, I got several kickers. I like Blake Grupe for New Orleans at home versus Philadelphia. I like Chase McLaughlin at home against Denver, Cairo Santos for Chicago at Indianapolis in their dome. And then Matt Prater is Clay's pick for a kicker for Arizona, and they are playing, I believe, they're playing at home against Detroit. So that's Clay's choice at kicker there. And that is your start, sit, sleepers from Clay and I for week 3. We really appreciate everybody listening. Please go out, like, subscribe, download, comment, follow us, on any of your platform of choice. We really appreciate everybody listening. We appreciate our sponsors, Mimi's, Big Reed BBQ, Crown Detailing. Y'all go out, support them. Give us some feedback, what you want to hear more of, what you don't want to hear, more of, or what you don't want to hear any of at all. Just give us some constructive criticism, because we're always looking to tweak the show and, give you more of what you want to hear. And we just appreciate everybody that listens out there. And good luck this week. Y'all keep chasing that trophy.
This ain't how it's supposed to be. It should be just you and me.